the personal is political, which went with consciousness raising, of course, which is where you talked about your experience, realized that other women had this experience, that it was not individual experience, but actually political, because it was the experience of women as a class. The idea of the personal is political came out of that. And it was an understanding that, it was very different from the traditional left, which was, factory gate stuff and so on in the workplace. The personal is political said that what goes on in your head, the way that you feel sexually, the fantasies you may have in your head, the clothing that you put on your body, the way that you hold your body, whether you have to hold your legs together because you have no power or whether you can spread your legs, the whole way that you think, feel, and clothe yourself is actually political. And for women, it's constructed out of the power relationships of male domination. Now, it was revolutionary in being able to, for us, because we knew that if sexuality was constructed by politics, as we understood that it was, it could change. So we knew gay male sexuality was not inevitably to take the form that it did, that we could require change, and it could change. And indeed, in terms of sexual fantasies, for instance, in the early 1980s, we used to do anti-sadomasochist workshops at women's conferences because sadomasochism was coming in. And one of the arguments was, well, women just are masochistic. If these fantasies in your head, then that's who you are. You are a sadomasochist. You need to get into it. Nothing can change. It's who you are. And so we used to have these workshops at conferences. And one of the things that we did was to say, now, anybody want to say what one of their sexual fantasies is? And some brave women would say things, and we'd all fall about laughing. The important thing being that laughter is a wonderful breath of fresh air. It's a disinfectant. Laughter is a sexual disinfectant, really. If you think about the atmosphere in gay clubs and things where the gay men and don't even speak, let alone laugh, and they get fed up if lesbians go to them because the lesbians come in and they laugh and they destroy the atmosphere that is necessary for the sexuality of dominance and submission that they're doing. So we used to laugh at these fantasies on the grounds that women, it would disinfect them, and women would no longer be able to find them really exciting. So we talked about all of those things, like what goes on in our heads, what created this, how to deal with it. That sort of thing has all gone. Nobody really talks about those kind of things anymore. And I think we've gone back to the old acceptance in a way that lesbianism is biological, that butch and femme is biological, that these things are not politically constructed and cannot be changed.
And again, circling back to CR groups, because there's been this chat about it, I think that was valuable also in combating the tendency towards this individualism, because you saw yourself as part of the oppressed class, because every other woman had the same experiences. So when you see groups of men, the army, sports teams, things like that, there is a culture. They are the oppressor class, and yet they are teaching each other in this like very, very cohesive kind of male bonding ritual group thing, that you individually, can be the star, you the man. Men perform well in sports when they're told that everything depends upon them and it'll all fall apart if they don't rise to the challenge. It's very, very individualistic. When women are allowed to just toss the men out and talk day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year in CR groups, and see that they are part of the whole group of women. They are part of the class of women. Their experiences are common. The dynamic is completely different, and I think women, if they do that, are more prepared to understand why the personal is political. And I think that losing that is why women became so susceptible. So many women became susceptible to saying, oh, I can just choose whatever I want, because they don't understand anymore that they're still in a jail. Marilyn Fry talks about being, you see like this one this one bar and it's in front of you and it doesn't seem like a big deal. And then you look a little bit to the right and there's another bar. And that's all you see because it's just right up against your face. And what you don't see is what people see from the outside is that you're in a cage and there's bars all around you and you can't get out. And what CR did, what women bonding did as the oppressed class was understand that that cage was all around them, and that every single decision they were making, every single decision was in the context of being in that cage. Men don't have that. It's a completely different dynamic.